Welcome to video number 14. This is me learning how to use the Octatrack and showing you everything I learn as I learn it. And today I'm just going to set up a simple through track, a Thru Machine, and I've got my Teenage Engineering Mk.II EP1320 device that I'm syncing up with today. This is a funny little thing I picked up secondhand a few months back. I haven't used it much, but it's a lot of fun. It's got lots of really wacky samples in it. I've just made a simple 1-bar pattern on it, and I'm going to use that to demonstrate this Thru Machine. So what is a Thru Machine for? If you've got an external device and you want to use the Octatrack as a mixer and an effects processor, this is perfect. You set up a Thru Machine in one of the tracks, and then you just play your external device through that track, and you can add effects to it. If you put a neighbour machine on the track below, if you're able to, so if you've got track 1 as the Thru Machine, you can set a neighbour track up on track 2, a neighbour machine I should say, and you've got 2 extra effects. I'm not going to do that today. I'm simply going to set up a Thru Machine, and then if you're interested I'll carry on and show you how I record the output of that external device, but initially we're just going to do a Thru Machine. So I've got this project, it's called Thru, and that's fine. So we've got just a blank project. My Mk.II device is all set up with the pattern, and I've got the sync set on the Mk.II so that it is going to receive the clock output from the Octatrack. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a Thru Machine on track 1. So if I double tap track 1 and I press the left arrow, I come down to Thru, say yes, say no. Now you can see there's a T there on track 1 showing us that it is a Thru Machine. Let's just change the tempo, just bring this down to something sensible like 100 maybe, like that. Press the tap tempo again to get rid of that. I've set the MIDI on the Mk.II. I'm going to go to Project on the Octatrack, going to come down to MIDI, yes. First thing I'm going to do is to go into Control, yes, and I'm going to turn off the CC out. I'm going to change it to internal, and the audio note out, I'm going to change that to internal. Audio CC in won't be a problem because it's got nothing coming from the Mk.II into the Octatrack, it's the other way round, so that's fine. So let's go to the sync part of the MIDI menu, yes, and we need to turn on the transport send and the clock send, and that's all done. Good. So now if I press play on the Octatrack, you can see that the Mk.II is fired up. We can't hear it at the moment, but it is working. Now if we go to the source page on the Octatrack, you can see that the NAB has got a dash. I've got my Mk.II plugged into the input A and B, so to hear this I need to turn on the A and B. So turn it on, I still can't hear anything. Now if I go to the mix page and I turn up the direct, you can hear audio coming from the Mk.II. That is not coming into the Thru track, that's just coming straight into the Octatrack, and that's not what we want. That's not going to work. So I need to turn that direct down, so that's on 0. Let's just press stop for a moment. If I press play again, you can see there's something coming into A and B, but we're not hearing it, are we? Now there's a reason for that. If I just press no to come out to that, if I put a trig at the beginning of the first step of the first bar, we could make this 4 bars. Let's hold function and page and make this a 4-bar pattern like that. That's lovely. Now so in its simplest form, that is a Thru track being set up. We are playing our Mk.II EP1320 into that Thru track, and we're using that Thru track to add effects. I've changed the delay, you could change the filter, let's do that, let's go into that and change that to the DJ equalizer. yes. If you don't like that, you just press FX1 and clear, and now the only effect we've got now is the delay. So that's fine, but supposing I now decide that I want to record that little pattern on my Mk.II into the Octatrack. Okay, so I need to set it up. Now, to save time, I have done this before in several other videos, so I don't want to plough through this in long form. I've already made a project where I've made all the settings, so I'm going to boot that project up and just quickly whiz through all the settings. There we are, Mk.II 1, yes. I've already made these settings to save time. Right, so track 7 I've turned into a flex track. Track 8 I've made the master track. With the main page I've got the record button on. I put a trig on the first step there. Now function and trig, I've got a one-shot trig there. So it's a one-shot recording trig. So that means that this will record once and then drop out of record straight away, and it won't record again until I arm the track that I'm going to record the Mk.II on. You'll see that the track 1 is set at T, so the Mk.II is coming in on that through track on track 1. Track 7 is a flex track, that's where we're going to make our recording. It's got recording 7 buffer on it. If I just double tap that, you'll see R7 is set for track 7, so anything I record into recording buffer 7 is going to go to track 7, that's fine. On the Rec 1 page I've got the record length at 64 because it's a 4-bar pattern. The source is track 8 because we're recording the output of our master track, and the loop is off. When I hold down that one shot, what you have to do is to turn off Rec 1 and Rec 2, so only Rec 3 is on, because you're only recording the, like I say, the master track. If I press and hold that, you'll see source 3, track 8 is lit or highlighted. You may remember that we use the crossfader in this process. In the A position we are recording, in the B position we're playing back. So if I press mixer, B, you'll see the X direct is set to minimum. Let go and it's set to maximum, 127. If I come to the main page and to the amp, hold the B and that's set to 0 dB, kind of unity, and with it off it's turned all the way down. So with the crossfader in the A position we're recording, and in the B position we are playing back. So the A button is set to trig 1 and the B button is set to trig 9. I'm going to press play on the Octatrack. Very important to have the crossfader over in the A position. It will record for 4 bars. I've got 4 bars set here. That's good. It will record for 4 bars. If we put this on AED, we'll see the sample coming in, and then we can play it back by moving over to the B position. So here we go. There's our sample coming in. That's done. So it's still playing the sound of the Mk.II. If I move over, that's the recording. If I press stop on the Mk.II and come back, nothing. See? I would need to press that again. Set that going. So there is our recorded sample that we have just made. We can change the look of that with the D encoder and the F encoder. Pretty fine as it is, we really want to see the whole thing, don't we? Now remember that this is working off that one-shot recording trig on step 1, so the Octatrack will drop out of record every time it makes its first recording. So if you want to redo your recording, you simply move back to the A position, you re-arm the recording. I'll do that again, track 7 and yes. Press AED, I'm just going to make a fresh recording. It's going to be exactly the same thing, but you'll get the idea. So let's just re-record that. Coming in again. And if I move over to the B position, that's that recording we just made. And it's erased the first one, obviously. So we are listening to recording buffer 7 at the moment. Now this is not a sample that we can use as such, we can only play it back in track 7. By the way, if you want to clear this recording, come over to Mk.II button, which is the file menu, come down to clear slot, and if you say yes, obviously you'll clear that. I don't want to clear it, but you can do it. Should we just check this with a metronome and see if it's working fine with the Octatrack? So let's go into Project, Control, Metronome, yes. Let's turn up the main volume. So if I press play now, we'll check to see if that recording of the Mk.II is perfectly in time with the internal metronome of the Octatrack. As you can hear, it's fine. So that's good. Let's turn the metronome off by holding Function and Mix. Come out of that. So what do we need to do now? We need to save our sample. So hold Function, record 3, and we come down to save this recording. Yes, it's got today's date as the name. Q and no to get rid of all that. We'll give it a new name, and I'll speed the video up like I always do. Mk.II is my name for this loop. Yes. Now we don't want to assign it to itself because it just goes back into the buffer. Let's assign it to a free static. So let's have a look. Function. So we're going to assign it to the first free static slot, which is static slot 1. Now I don't want to use track 1 because that's my through track, isn't it? So I'll use track 2. So I'll double tap track 2. Now it's looking at slot 2, which is empty. Move up to Mk.II, which is slot 1, say yes. And now you can see Mk.II is in the display for track 2. Now I want to go to the mixer, turn off track 1, we don't want the through track coming through, and turn off track 7. That's fine. Now we're going to use track 2, this flex track. We need to put a playback trig on the first step, and now when I press play, that's fine. I've got that proper sample, the Mk.II sample on track 2. Go to the mixer, we'll turn off track 2, turn on track 1. Now that's the Mk.II coming in. But obviously we don't need that anymore, so we can turn that off. So all we really want on at the moment is track 2. If I've got the crossfader in the A position at this point, even with track 7 turned off, I've got the direct turned up to 127. So I'm going to still hear that input from the Mk.II. I'd have to turn that down, or move it over to the B position where it's set at minimum. So a few things to think about there, isn't there? It's not just a matter of turning tracks off in the mixer. You've got to be careful when you're using this crossfader way of doing things that you don't have doubles. And obviously there, with the crossfader in the A position, we've got that nasty doubling smearing effect because that direct is set to 127. That's not using the through track, that's simply because the Mk.II is plugged into the A and B inputs and it's coming straight through, going straight out to the master of the Octatrack. So like I say, you would need to turn that down. Now it's fine, but of course you'd need to remember to turn it up again if you wanted to carry on and do more recordings. The mixer is your best friend when you're doing this because it's important to turn things off. Basically anything that's playing is probably going to get recorded when you make your recording on track 7, because track 7 is set to record the master track 8. Okay, track 8 is the master track, remember, and of course anything that's playing, that's coming out of the master, is going to get recorded onto track 7. So make sure in the mixer you've only got the tracks turned on that you want. And normally when you're making a new sample, that'll just be track 7, so you can hear what you're doing, and then you can alter things afterwards. It's pretty complicated, isn't it? My main criticism of this instrument, it is amazing, don't get me wrong, but if you forget to do something, it can be, well, not exactly catastrophic, but it can cause you problems and set you thinking, what on earth have I done wrong here? I must admit, when I do things on this instrument, I kind of expect it not to work first time. That's my fault because I probably missed something. But there is a lot of scope for error on this thing, so you just got to be very, very careful and not be in a hurry. I'd hate to have this in a live situation because I'm not sure my poor old brain would cope. So that's today's tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. We created a simple through track on another project with our Teenage Engineering Medieval EP 1320. It's a catchy title. Maybe the 1320 is to do with the date that all these sounds are supposed to come from. This thing is a riot, by the way, and it's not that expensive these days, so if you've got a spare couple of £100, it's worth checking out, and I probably will do some videos on it in the fullness of time. And then we booted up another project which I pre-prepared, whereby we were able to record the output of the Medieval coming into that through track and going to another track. Of course, I could carry on, I could record other loops, I could take things out of this loop and re-record it, carry on, use up more tracks. I've done that in previous videos with other instruments. I'm not going to bore you to death doing that now. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got some benefit from it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. If you really want to help me out, you can make a small donation to me, either here on YouTube or on my website, which is www.daddylonglegs.com. On there you're going to find out all about me, all the instruments I play. You'll see loads of videos that I've made on those instruments, and I've also made loads of tech videos on things like the Octatrack, the OPXY, the Dirty Wave M8, a lot of Poly N stuff on there as well. So thank you very much for watching, and you'll see me in my next video.